So I will explain various staffing verticals to you today. So the way it works is I explained you already what OPT CPT is, what H1 is, what green card is, and all that stuff, right? So one of the most important verticals is OPT CPT. So I've done it for almost 15 years, and that's probably the bread and butter, has been the bread and butter of mine for almost like 15, 20 years. Um, so the way it works is, when the kids get out of they are on CPT or they are about to complete their MS, they have not availed their OPT yet, and or they have already applied for their OPD and they are first within the first 90 days, or they have already crossed 90 days with someone else, they are on someone else. Remember, they have to have a offer letter within 90 days. So they have availed the offer letter from someone else, and now they are basically waiting for but they are working on a voluntary basis, so they want to get a real paid job. So they are still in the market. In all these four phases, they would be in market, and we target them. We basically ask them, there are a few conditions, we say as part of this vertical, we talk to them, we recruit them. Where do we find them? If you put an ad on various Facebook groups, you will find one or two property people. Once you start dealing with them, remember, if you place one, he will refer 10. If you place 10, you will refer 50, he will refer 50. So the trick is to just place first person. There are 2-3 things you need to do. One is, we need to have a guest house where they will come. Let's say they are in Michigan, they are in New Jersey, they are in Florida, they have to come to our guest house and stay there. Guest house better be close to our home. So this is a part of the staffing business, right? Second thing is, they need to be given training in some subjects. We are giving training in business analysis and MuleSoft. MuleSoft is an integration tool. Business analyst is an IT business analyst. This is not the regular business analyst. So we give the training in IT business analysis and as well as in MuleSoft as a developer, right? So these are the two main verticals. They're the two main skills that we give the training on. We can give training on other skills also, like QA and all those things. We can do marketing in anything, and now let me tell you the entire thing. We can do marketing in anything. Let's say in .NET also, if the person is already trained, and if he can get the interview help. Now, once they come into guest house, their training is done remotely by using guys from India, and they're getting trained. One more condition we put is, they have to take proper training. The other condition we have to put is, they have to put our name in the service record. What is service record? So government maintains, when a person, remember I said that he needs an offer letter, and he has to show it to the government that within the first 90 days that I got this job, right? So that is what the government, it doesn't cost anything, but they have to put their employer's name in service. That government database is called a service, and they have to create a record in service database, and they have to upload their offer letter. Making sense? Now they are that's a legal way of them to say that, okay, this is my current employer. It's cost nothing to change the service record, so they can easily change your employment. But what I have felt in the past is, as an experience, is people are damn serious when they put you in the service, because they would remember, they're on voluntary basis with one company. They would ask tens of other companies to give them jobs, and whenever they have the jobs available, they would say, that a candidate will say, okay, I will join that consulting company. The issue is, so they will immediately change the record in service and join that other company. So it's not a big deal, right? It doesn't look good also from immigration standpoint, but they do that all the time. So this is the thing, and they have to now file their H1, right? So the way consulting companies work is, many of the consulting companies, they target this 1-year contract of a Java programmer, 2-year contract of .NET programmer, and so on and so forth, 1-year contract of BA, or 1-year contract of MuleSoft developer. They would train them, and then they will start marketing their resume. Key thing is, they would need a lot of interview help. So we have to prepare them in the interview. What are the various techniques of preparing for the interview? Those are all like very key things. That's a key thing. How do you prepare them for the interview, and how you make them clear the interview? Interviews, typically there are multiple rounds, but then there is one key technical round, and in that technical round they have to do really well. That will be 30 to 1 hour long. There could be a coding exercise. So keeping all those scenarios in mind, you have to prepare them for the interview and make them clear. See, these guys are MS students. They can actually do it. Before interview, let's understand another cycle. I'll talk about another cycle later, but I'll refer to that cycle. They basically, our candidates, they get the resume, they make it look good, they know how to make it look better, and then they do the client submissions and then get the interview, right? So even client submissions, how do they do the client submissions? Also a very important question that you should ask your OPT CPT guy, OPT CPT VPH, vertical program head, and ask him, or your manager, ask him how this, how do you guys work on the resume, and how do you get the interview cleared? But once interview is cleared, then we do the paperwork of that person, and then he goes to the job, and then we get paid, right? So this is the main this is one of the this is the main vertical of OPT CPT. H1 H2 vertical is the way it works is in H1 H2 vertical, there are people who are already on H1, whether were on OPT and now they got on H1, or they came straight from India on H1 of TCS, CTS, etc. See, people who are on OPT CPT, they are smart people, so they would not change now because they already made a good decision of joining the right consultancy firm. TCS, CTS people are stuck with some vendor company and they think they are not smart. They don't know that this is a useless job. This is a useless vendor job. It's just a vendor W2 contract. They don't know that. They think that it is a job. So they think of it as a very valued job. And these are great jobs in India because they get you to America. But once you land in America and you have spent two months here, it's a raddi job. It's a tash job. They don't know that, but they get paid very little. They get paid almost 50% of that. So what we do is we tell them to start working with us. So as part of that process, we find a job, we find a project for them, 1 year or 2 year contract. Then on the basis of that contract, we file for their grade card, H1. See, we need that project before, because on the basis of that only we can file for the H1. We file for the transfer of H1, and then within 1 week of filing the H1 for the H1, he can start working with us. It takes 1 week for us to file the H1. Once we get the paper from the client saying that okay, this guy they want to have a contract with related to this guy. So there is a this part of the paper, the client mentions that they want this candidate, and that's what goes with the paperwork of H1 of work visa. Okay, so this is the way. This whole cycle, once it completes like 2-3 months, then this whole cycle is over, and then H1 has to basically H1 person has started to work with us, right? Sometimes H1 person may be in India and he's stuck there for some reason, and then he says that find a job for me in America. Some clients, not all, some clients are okay with that arrangement that the person will be working in India, but they want the person to be on H1. So this is very interesting. So when they want that, we call it H2. So basically the person is in India and he's working from there, or a person is in Canada, but if the client is okay, they are okay with that, then we can you should talk to your VPH regarding the latest latest issues related to this, getting this certificate from a client that they are okay with it. Okay, but from your manager or H1 manager, you ask them. But H2 cases are very little nowadays. It used to be a lot because people are okay with remote jobs, but nowadays all clients want H1 people to come on at the client side. So it's becoming very rare. But during COVID, it was very common. They'll say, okay, if the guy is in India, that's fine. He can start working from there and they'll be fine. Typically, this is for high-end skills. Otherwise, clients would not agree in general. And even during COVID, they would not agree, but they would agree only when there is a real that's a high-end skill, like MuleSoft architect or .NET architect or Java architect level guy with 10 to 15 years of experience. That's considered high-level guy. So this is H1 H2. Others are vendorship. So as part of vendorship, we become a vendor of the state. Remember there are end clients and there are vendors. So we become vendor of some end client. Typically, we become the vendor of the state of California or state of Mississippi. They are also big. They are also jobs, right? They are also end clients, right? So they need people, right? They need 1 year. They need .NET programmer for 1 year. And I know it's not there in India and Pakistan, but it is there in America. The state of California is the biggest IT employer. Actually, by the way, one of the biggest IT employers. They have billions of dollars of budgets to be spent on their IT system. So they spend a lot of money. Now coming to this thing, so they need Java programmers and .NET programmers too. Obviously, they will start hiring on a permanent basis on their own payroll. But when they need someone for 1, 2, 3 years, then they give contracts. So you can become a direct vendor of the state of California, or there are 50 out of 25 out of 50 states. It's very easy to become their vendor, and you become their vendor, and then you take it from there. Okay, this is your state. So become, and then once you get now as vendorship, you don't have the candidate. Forget candidate. You have the positions. Once you get a position, you have to get the right candidate. You have MuleSoft or BA candidate. What if the positions are .NET? So you need to go to the market and get .NET resume, and then you submit it there. So it's vendorship is all about you have the position and you hunt for the candidate. H1, H2 and OPT CPT, you have the candidate first and then you hunt for the job. Totally different scenarios, different skill set. The manpower that is needed is different. In H1, H2, it's a little different from OPT CPT, but both of these are totally different from vendorship, because in vendorship you have the position first, and so to get the position you need to talk to someone at the state, right? And that skill is really like a big skill. It's not easy. A long time back, I used to think of everything as same, but actually I started understanding that these are separate verticals because different skill set people are needed. Different people with different skill sets are needed. Different types of people are needed. In straight vendorship, you need people who have got account management experience and who know how to hunt for candidates on dice, monster, etc. On the other hand, on candidate side, if you're an H1 H2 and also, you should know how to you can, it's easy to find candidates. You should know how to hunt for jobs for them. You should know how to hunt for jobs for them. It's very difficult. So there are issues related to that. In H1 H2, they're senior, they are architect level people, but they don't know how to take the interview. They make mistakes. Sometimes, they don't explain their skills properly to our BDM. So our BDMs who coordinate with them are called as business development managers. So our BDM may not even understand their skill set. The guy may keep on saying, I am Java program manager, project manager, blah blah blah. He may be a Java architect, but he doesn't understand that himself. So he keeps on portraying himself as a Java program. This is the biggest issue in H1 H2. This is the biggest issue. So when you join as a manager, as a revenue manager, revenue model owner, as an owner of this enterprise, then you need to make sure that this issue does not come. You talk to every candidate yourself and try to determine their skill set very, very well. This is the biggest issue in H1 H2, right? Other than that, I explained three main models. There are many other models, but these are the main ones, and I wanted to make sure you understand various models and the differences. Thank you.